The course will provide you with the understanding and insight in the history of the Balkan region, one of the region that has influenced on so many occasions European history in the past more than 100 years, in particular during the 20th century, not just to mention the First World War, the period after the Second World War, and towards the end of the 20th century. In addition to this, the course will deal and will explore the regional and the interblock dynamics within the structured Cold War world through and looking at the ways in which the Cold War has influenced the region, and also the way in which the region itself has influenced the Cold War dynamics, in particular during the first or early Cold War, but then towards the end of it and in the first period, the first years after the end of the Cold War. The course will also look at the ways in which one of the very rare alternatives created during the Cold War emanated from this region, particularly through the role of Yugoslavia. The alternatives that I have in mind, and which you will be able to have more insight through the course, are the non-aligned movement within the foreign policy outlook and self-management within the alternatives created in the sphere of ideologies. And finally, what I would like to point out is the course will provide you with the understanding of how the end of the Cold War has influenced developments in the Balkans, which in the early 1990s threatened the war in Europe for the first time after the Second World War. Now, the course is taught and conducted through the seminars, 2-hour seminars, 10 topics during the first term, the Michaelmas term, and 10 topics during the Lent term, ranging the first term from the Second World War, in the early periods of the Cold War, in particular 2 events that have marked the nascent Cold War structures. That's the Greek Civil War and the Yugoslav-Soviet conflict. The second part of the course during the Lent term, the 10 topics that are taught and that are addressed during the Lent term, deal with the period starting roughly from the collapse of the colonel's regime in Greece, through the collapse of Yugoslavia, the wars in the 1990s in ex-Yugoslavia, and the period of transition within the Balkan states, in particular post-communist states, from 1990s until the present period. Talking about the end of the Cold War brings me to the point of what you will bring out of this course, and something that will enable you to perhaps deal better with the intellectual challenges and historical challenges that we are facing today. On the one hand, you'll be able to understand much better and critically engage with dilemmas, different interpretations, very often controversial, and debates on complex issues, regional issues such as those related to the Balkans. In addition, this course, although a historical course about a particular region in the second half of the 20th century, will enable you to understand much better some of the phenomena of the international system that we are facing today and that will represent a challenge for years to come. Phenomena such as humanitarian intervention, international community, limited sovereignty, the role of the UN, and so forth, which will in essence, in the discussions that we will have, which will really enable you to critically engage with those issues at present time.